Hi, Brian from Retrotopia here. Did you know we started a Patreon? And that said Patreon is free to join? Head on over to patreon.com/Retrotopia and join the free tier. This free tier will give you access to a second Spotify Retrotopia called Retrotopia Expansion Pass, where you can get not only the main show, but the shows exclusive to Patreon, such as Quick Play, where Alan, Sam, or myself will give a quick review on games that might not have the meat for a full episode. As well, you can write in comments for upcoming shows, including 8-Bit Banter Box and the Game of the Week. You can comment on the shows that have been aired, or you can message me and get a one-on-one time. You can also find a link to the Patreon at linktree/Retrotopia, that's linktr.ee/Retrotopia, and that'll also give you a link to our Discord. So if you're looking to support the show through participating in the discussion, head on over to patreon.com/Retrotopia and sign up today. And one last perk, you won't have to hear this advertisement at the beginning of a show. Now let's get on with our regularly scheduled program. Welcome to another episode of Retrotopia. My name is Brian, and on today's show we are going to be talking about The Messenger. And in case you didn't hear last week, we are going to a one-host format, and this week I will be your host for the introduction, and Sam and I will get into the game chat a little bit later. We did this so that we could actually play games and chat about them and do the introductions while keeping it more relevant to the time period. So as I said on today's show, we are going to be talking about The Messenger, but before we get into all of that, we would like you to join us on social media, where you can find us and all our links to our socials at linktree/Retrotopia, that's linktr.ee/Retrotopia. By joining our Discord, you can write into the show and ask us questions, make comments, or just have a little bit of fun, and we'll read it here. We call it 8-Bit Banter Box, and it's culturally elegant. So first up, we have Guy Who Does Things, and he says, "Hi Sam, Al, and the third guy, Bill?" Well, Sam and Al aren't here, and I assume I am Bill there, Christian. I'm on the cusp of finishing Cyberpunk 2077, and I'm trying to choose my next game. Thus, I call upon you to help me choose. The games I'm considering so far are Mass Effect 3, Baldur's Gate 3, Monster Hunter Wilds, third of the series, or one I recommend. Well, I have nothing to recommend that's third of the series, but let's go through the list of games. Mass Effect 3, if you played 1 and 2, everybody says that's great. I haven't played any of them yet. It's on my list of games I'll probably never get to. Baldur's Gate 3, everybody's raving about it, so I would choose Baldur's Gate 3 personally. And I've never been a fan of Monster Hunter, so that one can be scratched off. If I recommend a game, it's Super Mario Bros. 3, because the theme here is 3. Hope that helps there, Guy Who Does Things, and if it doesn't, well, you're an adult, you can figure this out. Next up, we have Unbuckled Cape from Unbuckled Comics. He says, "Hey guys, it seems like you're getting away from the Sega versus Nintendo way of selecting games, so what's the method of madness here? Inquiring minds want to know." Pretty much we look at a gigantic ass list of games and go, hey, that would be fun, hey, that'd be fun, and then we end up talking about them, so we pick our games based on length of the game, because if we're playing an RPG, we don't want to play like 5 in a row, or 5 at a time. The system doesn't matter anymore. We've obviously, with this episode, we've kind of gone into newer games as well, because, you know, it's our podcast, and we're going to review what we really feel like reviewing. And yeah, it's just chaos, pure, absolute chaos, and that's how we pick the games. And there is no other method to it. We also look at the list of suggested games, and we try to fit those in as well. If we have guests, we have to organize with them. So there's a lot of factors that goes into picking a game. Other than that, Sega sucks, Nintendo rules. Next question. McGee follow up to Unbuckled's question: which one of you is more mad? Don't understand the question. I am super calm and happy because I'm on the Nintendo side, so it has to be Sam. Alan's just like play anything kind of guy. He's the wild card of the whole thing, so we don't count him in the angry section. He's always happy anyways. But versus me and Sam, or me versus Sam, there is no me versus Sam. We work together. That's how it happens. Sorry, McGee. We can't be angry. That's it for our questions. Sorry my answers were pretty crappy, but you know what? First time doing this, I'll get better. I promise. Or I don't promise. I just will. Just do it. Anyways, so thanks to everyone who wrote in. Before we move on to the game chat, I just want to tell you a little bit about what I've been up to, and it's been kind of a busy weekend for me. So I went to Toronto, Ontario, Canada, where there was an event going on for another podcast, a more popular podcast than mine, called Remember the Game, and the host, Adam Blank, is a comedian out of Edmonton. So for the last 2 years, he has come in from Alberta to Ontario, where we have gathered up a bunch of us who know each other and gone to his comedy show and used it as an excuse to kind of get together and hang out for a bit. So I went a day early and I went to the Blue Jays game with a couple of friends there. Afterwards, we met up with a few people for some beers in the middle of Toronto, which actually turned out to be a pretty good place. I had a beer I've never had before, but I've always heard of. Goose Island Mango. Actually, the whole weekend was mango themed. It would seem like every beer I had mango in it. On that, Thursday was pretty much that. We drank, we ate out, went to a baseball game, drank some more, went back, took the GO train for the first time in my life. That is an experience. If you train into a city for work or whatever, I have nothing but admiration for your patience. It was the middle of the night and it was still painfully long. So next night, Friday night, we went to see the comedy show. So we went down early, met up with some friends again. We had some drinks, had some food, went to see the comedy show, then met up with some people from the Remember the Game community. Then we had some more beers and some more food. And once again, we got drunk. And midnight, we took the GO train back towards who I was staying at. And we pretty much called that the last trip into Toronto, because the next night, the person who was hosting me, a fellow listener and a really good friend, Good he smoked some ribs for us, and they were fantastic. Oh my God, they were so good. Yeah, ribs, cornbread, there was baked beans or refried beans. Oh God, my arteries are still clogged from it. It was so good. But we just, we had kind of one of those drinking 2 nights relaxing evenings where you don't go out, so I just sat there and drank. Then I came home, and the next day was Canada Day. So 1st July is Canada Day, if you don't know. And I live in Ottawa, Ontario, the nation's capital, and they had a multi-generational flyby of all the Royal Canadian Air Force airplanes we have used throughout the different decades. So I was downtown. I got a bunch of videos of a bunch of airplanes flying over. There's Hertz, Galaxies, F-18s, the Auroras. There's a couple of helicopters like the Cyclone and the Chinook. And, oh my God, I should know this. Anyways, there's a whole bunch of them. And it was all capped off by a flyby by 2 F-35s from Vermont, because we in Canada are going to purchase the F-35s. It's been announced in the news. Just when we get them has not been announced, so we had to, bitch bag and borrow from our allies to have a couple of flyovers so everybody knows what they look like. And I'll say one thing about them: they are way, way louder than a F-18. Capped that evening off by going to a Japanese barbecue for the first time in my life, where they had the little barbecue in the middle of the table, and that was amazing. I will definitely go back. My wife is a huge anime fan, and she's always wanted to do that. And she was not disappointed. Even my son, who's a finicky eater, was having a ton of fun cooking his own food, which is rare for him to eat so fast. But yeah, he was right into it. So other than that, I just spent time with my son. I'm off for the summer before I begin my next course in the September. So I have the summer with my kid, and I plan to make use of it. So that is pretty much my life and all the going-ons right now. As for games, I've been playing the 1,000-Year Door. It's almost done. Currently on the 6th star. I'm on the train. A little bit of a mystery going on. I find that game both fun and hard to play. Like, when it's good, it's good. When it's not, it's just drag. Other than that, Long Dark has released the 5th chapter of the Winterlude story. I want to get back into that so bad. I just have to find the time. I've played chapters 1 through 4. Going to get into chapter 5. I got to finish it because it was a really, really fun game, and I might go back to streaming to do that. We'll see. Because I do actually have a streaming channel. I've just kind of abandoned it over the last 6 months. Then I made a deal with somebody to actually play The Last of Us, where they have to play a game themselves that I picked. Last of Us, I know it's a good game. It just never hit my radar as a game I wanted to play. So it's never really garnered my interest. I'm going to give it a shot. Again, thinking about doing it over stream. I want to get that channel back up. It's called Captain N versus the game, underscores between all the words. But we'll see how that goes, because it's time dependent, and then, when 6 p.m. rolls around, I just have absolutely no energy to set anything up. Lastly, I've been playing Professor Layton for a different podcast. Again, I'm almost done that. I'm on the tail end of that story, but that'll be done and over by today. I think we do the recording this afternoon, the day I'm recording this. So, if you want to hear that, you can head over to Retro Wars, and when he releases it, he releases it. I'm not his boss. Just his loyal supporter. That's it. That is my life up to now, and that is the games I've been playing. So let's move on to our game chat, starting with Alan and the Gentleman's Interlude.
The Messenger, a veritable gem of contemporary gaming, offers a most delightful adventure that harkens back to the revered era of classic platformers. Developed by the ingenious Sabotage Studio and released in 2018, this game presents itself as a splendid tribute to the venerable titles of yesteryear, combining both 8-bit and 16-bit graphical stylings in a most innovative manner. Crafted by the talented Sabotage Studio, a Canadian indie developer, The Messenger is a modern homage to classic platformers. Founded in 2016, Sabotage Studio drew inspiration from beloved titles like Ninja Gaiden, aiming to blend nostalgic 8-bit and 16-bit aesthetics with contemporary gameplay and a rich, engaging narrative. The narrative unfolds with our protagonist, a humble ninja who is entrusted with the solemn duty of delivering a sacred scroll. This seemingly straightforward task, however, soon blossoms into an epic odyssey replete with time travel, treacherous foes, and a plethora of cunning puzzles. The player is treated to a seamless blend of action, exploration, and meticulous design, all underscored by a captivating chiptune soundtrack that is nothing short of oral delight. Not that kind of oral. The gameplay mechanics are of particular note, offering a deft mix of precision and agility. One must master the art of cloud stepping, an elegant maneuver allowing our hero to leap from enemy to enemy with the grace of a dancer. The transition from 8-bit to 16-bit, both in graphics and audio as one traverses through time, is executed with the utmost finesse, providing a duality of experience that is as refreshing as it is nostalgic. In sum, The Messenger is a masterclass in game design, a veritable feast for the senses, and a testament to the enduring charm of retro-inspired adventures. It is a journey that demands both skill and wit, offering rewards aplenty for those who dare embark upon it.
And I want to thank Alan for doing the Gentleman's Interlude week after week. He does great work for us. He's part of the team, and we always appreciate the hard work that he does for us and the pure gold he gives us. So before we get into the game chat with me and Sam, we have a couple of listener comments, starting with Guy Who Does Things. He says, the switching from 8 to 16-bit is pretty slick. I can with 100% certainty say that this is a Brian game because it looks and feels like Chrono Trigger. If Chrono Trigger had analog sex with Ninja Gaiden while Final Fantasy Tactics watched in a chair from the corner. Alright, I'm going to break this down. First off, no, this game does not look and feel like Chrono Trigger. That would be Sea of Stars, the follow-up to this game, and the prequel to the story. Ninja Gaiden is correct because it is a homage to Ninja Gaiden, and Final Fantasy Tactics is a real-time strategy game or RPG tactics game. So it can watch in the corner, I guess, but it's got to pay to be there. There you go. So next we have McGee. He says, "'Tis a good game, English. Hard but fair." Great comment from McGee. Thank you very much. All right, well, thanks, guys, for writing in. It's always been great to hear your thoughts. Now, with a little bit of music to create the transition, we are talking The Messenger by Sabotage Studios, released 30th of August, 2018. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the show. All right, we're back once again, and we are going to be talking about The Messenger today by Sabotage Studios, as you've already heard. And with me is Sam today. Sam, what's up?
Hey, Brian. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this game. I've spent the last week or so blitzing through New Game Plus, which is I game overed once and I got really upset.
Yeah, I remember that night you let us know.
I got through the first half of the game and then I ran out of time shards, and then that little red devil shit says you can't afford me, and then I went right back to the start screen.
Oh,
yeah.
I never got to New Game Plus for some reason. I finished the game, but New Game Plus never showed up.
No, it should be there. You should check it out because it's you have to start a new game file, and then it lets you pick between standard and New Game Plus, and you have all of your.
Yeah. I tried that, but all it did was start a new game.
Oh, Brian has never beaten The Messenger.
Yeah, maybe I didn't get to the proper ending because I didn't collect all the stuff at the end. Like after you finish the midway point and you start going back down the mountain, I didn't collect all the stuff, so maybe that's where I lost it.
You mean like all the music notes?
Well, not the music notes. Everything you have to collect. Those green coins. The
yeah.
The
no,
whole
I did not get all the green coins. There are some that can just fuck off.
That's how I felt too.
There's one where you have to like drop down and then like time it so that you use your little grappling hook to like jump across those little ghost maidens, and that one sucks. Like there's a specific point where you have to
let's save that for the moment. We haven't even talked about the plot yet. Sam, do you want to give us what the plot is before you give away the ending?
Yeah, the plot that I have a hard time following because it involves time travel and I get confused.
It's very simple. I mean, like it's 2 paragraphs.
I know. So the story begins in a village of ninjas, and you're one of the ninjas. I guess I'm learning as I go along because I didn't realize they were the last survivors of humanity. So they foretell a prophecy of the Western hero, who's going to save them from evil or from the demons. And their village is attacked by the Demon King, who looks really cool. Yeah, it looks really cool. That's such a cool. Like right away, it's like the game is like, oh, this is a pretty kick-ass game, and that Demon King looks really cool, like floating in from the top. The Western hero arrives and repels him, so that's the Western hero. You are not the Western hero, but
no, you are just the messenger.
You are the messenger. So he gives the scroll to a young ninja, pointing him as the messenger, and tells him to travel east and deliver it to the top of a mountain. So that's kind of where things begin for you. So then,
See,
as the
what's
messenger,
funny before we carry on is the reason he's a Western hero is because he comes from the left side of the screen, and if you use the
yeah,
cardinal directions on the screen, north being up, west would be the left side, east would be the right side, and that's probably, and I'm guessing here, that's why he's the Western hero. It has nothing to do with him coming from America with a B-52 bombing the place.
no, it's just a dude that comes from that direction.
Yeah,
I I like how everything in this game kind of is cyclical. Like he's giving you something, he's passing you the scroll from the west, and you go east, and then obviously, as we'll get into, there's some time elements, and you know you can once you whatever. But my thoughts are just pouring out, so I'm gonna continue to talk about the story. um, so the messenger explores, obviously levels, defeats enemies, and you collect time shards when they either come out of like little lanterns that you can hit, and you can actually like jump and parry off of them, which is pretty cool. Um, or you get
actually, they're
them.
instrumental in the
Oh
game to make some
yeah,
jumps because you have to bounce off them.
you need them. Yeah, and sometimes enemies, like I've said. So the game begins as a linear adventure, featuring some time travel elements, and well, actually, it starts with a set of linear levels that you progress through as you're trying to get to the Demon King, and then you end up in, I think it's like a time palace or whatever. What do they call that thing?
Um, well, I probably don't have it
Uh,
written down up here.
yeah, you do.
Tower of Time.
Yeah, that's it. So I was close, like Time Palace or whatever.
Yeah,
So you end up in the Tower of Time, and that's then obviously you end up with some time traveling mechanics after that. But yeah, it starts out very linear. You just progress level to level, and once you go through the Time Palace, or the God damn it, I called it the Time Palace again.
my
You
God,
get
man.
through the time tower, and then that's when it introduces some kind of uh, I guess you could call it a Metroidvania, but like you're freely traveling through all the areas of the game, and then there's some some time jumps or some little time warps that you can jump through, and it moves you between 8 and 16-bit. I guess
Yeah, and
it's
that's
8-bit.
what's really neat. Is the 8-bit
Yeah,
is the present and the 16-bit is the future, and the messenger himself he changes. The backgrounds change, the quality of the sprites change, and the
the music
music
changes.
changes.
Yeah,
And if you overlay the tracks because they have to sync up, uh, you overlay the tracks from the 8-bit track to the 16-bit track, and they perfectly sync up. That way, when you do run through like I guess we'll call it a time warp, you run through it there, the music will change as the level changes, and it'll be seamless. It won't
it
restart the
is.
track or nothing.
It is incredible. Like just there is never any lag. It is just buttery smooth. You jump through this thing, or you can fall through them or climb up through
Oh yeah,
them.
you
Um,
just got to get through them.
yeah, depending on the way that they're oriented, and it just like no lag or nothing. You just drop. It's just kind of like Portal. We were talking about how easy or how fluid it is when you jump through those portals and you end up in a different spot on the map, and there's no lag or anything. It's the same with
Yeah,
this. It's so impressive. Like
oh,
I just I'm
it's a
floored by like
beautiful
the
game. Man.
creativity. Yeah.
No, it's absolutely great, and the the way they did it was it's just such an engaging gameplay mechanic because it's a very simple game to learn. Like right off the bat, you're taught to use your sword and hit the lanterns, which enables you to jump a second time, and then that becomes a very important mechanic through the game. But as you progress, you get other items and stuff like that, and the level of gameplay increases, and it becomes very difficult. And at points, you have to do trial and error. And another nice thing about this game is when you die, you go back to the last save point almost instantly. Like you get a little splash screen with a message. You go back to the last save point and you get to try it all over again. It's not life based. It's not,
Right.
you have to use continues and start back at the beginning of the level. No, you can try as many times as you want, which really encourages you to push forward. Otherwise, if it was like a Castlevania, run out of lives, you have to start the level again. Well, fuck no, I'm turning off the system and never picking it up again. Right,
Throwing
Rondo
shade
of
at
Blood?
Castlevania. Yeah, throwing shade at Castlevania here. How did you get out of the castle, by the way? Because that was That was something that we mentioned last time, that
Yeah.
you
After
entered the
finding enough,
castle and you didn't you didn't leave.
yeah, after finding enough wall meat there to build up my strength, I grabbed what's his nuts there's whip, and I just kind of swung it around, yelling "Hi ho, Silver!"
Oh, okay.
And they eventually
we,
just
we
kicked me out for unruly behavior.
we entered the castle and we found Brian just eating wall meat and sobbing.
The only problem was there's no wall meat. I'm just licking a stone,
Yeah,
and he's gone
this wall
insane.
meat, this wall meat is delicious. It's like a skull.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. It's funny because this episode comes out two after the Rondo of Blood, so we already have no idea
Yeah,
how I got out of the castle.
yeah. It's part of the lore though now, is that you
Yeah.
got stuck in there.
So if you started with this episode, go back to Rondo of Blood to figure out the lore.
Yeah.
All right. So I was just reading the notes as we were waxing poetic there, and when you hit the lanterns, it's called the cloud jump. So
Yes. Or
yeah.
it was a cloud jump or cloud step. Is that different? There's like
Uh,
some sort of cloud nonsense, ninja stuff.
yeah, you wouldn't understand unless you're part of the secret society of ninjas.
Right.
Yeah. Didn't
But
see
yeah,
you at ninja practice yesterday. Thank you,
it's
sir.
it's actually kind of tough to master, but it's the game I think does a really good job of showing you like, hey, you can like grappling hook across these lanterns that are just kind of stationary on the map, or you can cloud jump or do whatever. It like shows you like you can use a cloud jump to get up higher, you can use it to get across stuff, like right in the beginning level. It's like a little tutorial. And then the game I think does a really good job of ramping up the difficulty to the point where like you're eventually going to need to use it, you're going to need to perfect it, but
Yeah,
it's going to take
but
a bit,
it
you know.
introduces you to the mechanics very well quickly, but at the same time, it gives you enough time to kind of learn the new one you got. Like you get the climbing claws first to climb up the wall. Very simple. You just climb up a wall like Ninja Gaiden. Uh,
Yep.
you get the energy shuriken, which I think is an upgrade. That one you just throw shurikens while you have power. You get the wingsuit, lets you float down, or if there's upstreams, you can float upwards.
Yeah.
Again, something that comes in really handy because it also lets you strike straight down. So if you're on top of an enemy, you can actually strike straight down and hit them.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
really useful.
yeah, you get the rope dart like you mentioned. That one lets you vaults you across large gaps and stuff like that. As long as you have something to hook on into the middle, you can reuse it. It also makes a joke about the it being called the hook shot. They're just like, yeah, we know everybody's going to call it the hook shot anyways.
Yeah, I love the dialogue.
Yeah,
That's another funny thing. Like there's some good funny stuff where it's pretty self-aware. Like I think before you um there's like a DLC, and I think before you go in there, the shopkeeper says something about, oh yeah, it's like an action platformer with like a half-ass Metroidvania tacked on to the end.
yeah. That's the other one. That's kind of the main characters you interact with is the shopkeepers, and there's a couple of them. I think there's 3 or 4 that you run into,
Yeah.
and
And were they former messengers themselves? Because there's a point where
well
you throw the robe
that
on, and
just
there's
literally a spoiler right there. That is wow.
well, come on. I mean, bleep it out.
Oh man, no, I'm not bleeping that out. I want people to know that you just ruined the game for them.
Oh,
Although
come
it's
on.
not that big to the story there. It's just something that gets revealed, but it's kind of nice to learn that stuff on your own.
Okay. consider
Just a
consider
little
me
jab right there.
consider my wrist slapped, everyone.
No, but they're the shopkeepers. Yeah, as you progress, you get these little portals into these shops. You can
Yeah.
buy upgrades with the time shards that you collect. Time shards also, and we'll get into this in a second when you die, also as a payment for bringing you back to life. Um, yeah, the upgrades just kind of help you do things like attack the uh, projectiles from enemies, makes you a little bit stronger, jump higher, a little bit more health and stuff like that. So those are just standard upgrade affairs.
Yeah, I think if I played New Game Plus and it allowed you to carry over all of your upgrades. So I had purchased all of them on my previous playthrough. So I carried them all over. But I think I would have found it much more difficult to have to start from scratch with, not having any of that stuff. Cause man, you can really fly through some of those, like the first half of the game with all the upgrades already.
Oh yeah, I mean, like just looking at the list here, half the upgrades are just everything you need just to wipe out the first few bosses.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
started at like not a new game plus, but I started a new game again, and I had so many problems with the first boss on my first ever playthrough. This time, I just wiped the floor with them.
Are
Took me
the
less
guy
than
that's
2 minutes.
it's like a Yeti that's a pile of leaves or whatever?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then he throws the leaves off. Like first time, I couldn't figure him out for like probably a good 4, 5, 6 tries. Then this time, yeah, it was just like I knew the pattern, I knew what to do. It got easier, and then got to the second boss there, same thing, a little bit easier. Did have to do it a couple of times still, but it is what it is.
The boss that still that gave me trouble the first time and still did this time was that like red demon guy. I can't remember what his name is, but he's got like some sort
Basically,
of
the strongest boss in the game. He's the guy who
one of them
follows you around, right?
follows
Yeah.
you.
Well,
Yeah, I
he's
mean,
at the beginning of the game there. The demon's like,
yes.
you keep an eye on him. And then he just kind of appears as this character wearing a brown
Oh,
cloak
yeah.
that you
Oh,
can't really
spoiler
beat.
alert, Brian.
Yeah, well, you did it. I figure it's my turn.
Well, yeah, we could put a disclaimer in the intro that will probably spoil some stuff.
Nah. People should have already played this game. It's retro enough, we'll call it.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
believe it's like almost 6 years old. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, right? I mean, it feels like the pandemic cut off so much time. Like, just everything feels newer than it actually is. So that's
Yeah,
where I
kind of.
discovered a lot of these games.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Actually,
Um,
oddly enough, this one I didn't actually touch until after I played Sea of Stars. And then everybody's like, hey, Sea of Stars and this is connected. I'm like, okay, let's play The Messenger. And then I just fell in love with it.
oh wow, really? You've only played I didn't play it that long ago either, but I think it definitely before Sea of Stars came out. I tried this out on a recommendation. I was
Well,
like
I'm not a huge
I was
Metroidvania fan. Like, I'm hit or miss on them. And this one hit.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because I'd heard it is a difficult game, but I'd heard like, oh, it's a difficult, it's like a challenging action platformer. I was like, I don't know, same thing, I guess. I was like, I don't know, it's not an RPG, so I'm not as excited about it. And then I played it. It's like, no, this is brilliant.
Yeah. And then this game being completely the polar opposite of Sea of Stars. I don't know how it managed to be this good.
Yeah, and I think what encouraged me to give this game, and I actually am considering some others kind of like it, I guess, but Cuphead actually was one game where it was like I played it and it's like a difficult indie game, and I was like, you know what, I've played through Cuphead, I can beat it if I try beat my head against the wall enough. Like maybe I should try some more of these games because even if they're not my style, or my cup of tea or whatever, like it might still be excellent. And like a good game is just a good game, no matter what genre it is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, yeah, well said. Like, I have absolutely nothing to add to that. It's
Yeah.
the perfect way to say it. Let's get back on track here because
Yeah.
we're
Sorry.
kind of we're doing what we normally do and we're drifting off, and now my mind is all over the place. But let's go through the bosses again. Yeah, we started with the leaf monster, right? He's basically Yeti covered in a bunch of leaves. He just throws them at you. First boss you meet, first introduction to bosses. Um, Nothing special about him. He does. I don't even think he has any dialogue after you beat him.
No, and he doesn't really have that many hit points either because even in the new game plus it said you'll take more damage when you get hit, and then also your bosses will have more hit points. So like they have like, I don't know, 10-15% more. They take a few extra hits. And I still was like, he was gone in like less than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Once I remembered what exactly he did.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was dumb simple. The next one is called Ruxton. He is the height deficient skeleton that
I,
floats to make himself appear taller.
I love Ruxton. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
one of my favorite. I was going to call that out as being one of my favorite characters of the game.
yeah, he
Uh,
actually has a good personality after you beat him there, and he's like a bad guy who's not really a bad guy.
yeah, he's just got that little like Napoleon. He's angry because he's short, and that's
Yeah,
pretty much like the whole reason why he's bad.
and his staff is actually like the leader of the two because his staff talks to him.
Yeah, and I like here's another spoiler, but like once you get to the second part of the game, you see the staff in the glacial peaks, um, and you talk to it. It's like, yeah, he told me to wait here for you for 500 years. It's cold up here, and he's like just stuck in the ground. It kind of
uh,
reminds me of the Futurama when they like Bender gets lost in Roswell as they're like traveling through time, and they had to go dig him
yeah,
up when they got back.
no, fuck, that was a good episode. Actually, that
Yeah.
one won an award. All's well that Roswell.
Yeah, Roswell that ends well. That's such a good, yeah.
Yeah,
Fries
that's
his
what it
own
was.
grandpa. Yeah.
Actually, that'll come up in our Chrono Trigger episode if it ever happens.
Yeah.
The grandfather paradox.
Yeah, anytime we talk about time, we need to bring up
Yeah,
that Futurama
need,
episode.
absolutely. All right, next boss is the Emerald Golem. He's just a gigantic boss that he has two fists that bang on the ground. You have to hit his core in the center, then he opens his mouth like a gaping horn. You jump on his shoulders and you just beat his face. You get to this boss after you get the wingsuit. So
Yeah,
you
this
can
one's
kind of,
super fun. I love this one.
yeah, if you float down to the head there, you can do the downward attack and you can kind of beat his head off for a while. And after he blows his load, you float down to the other side and then you just repeat that until you beat him.
Okay, so like yeah, he opens his mouth and then there's like little gusts of wind you float up onto his shoulder, but I didn't realize like it never occurred to me to do that like floating glide and attack on his head so he doesn't like swat you out of the way or anything.
No, as long as those shoulder spikes are still down, you're good to go.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a
it's
fun
just,
one. I love that boss.
I
That's
think it
a
just kind of
just
gives you an extra hit.
I think I like all the bosses as I'm
Yeah,
thinking about it. There's not one that there are some that are more frustrating than others, but there isn't a single one that I'm like, no, that sucks.
no, I'm not going to go through all the bosses. I'm going to just poke out three more really quick
Yeah.
here, and then we'll finish it off with the big guy that you don't know the name of because it's really hard to pronounce. But we got Kolos and Suzes,
Oh, that one's
Susses,
so fun. Yeah.
the two Cyclops
Yeah.
who swap out. You got Arcane Golem. That's the I wouldn't call it the final boss, but it's kind of the midway boss. But
Is
he plays a lot like the Emerald Golem when you fight him.
Yeah, is that the one with the two hands and then like it's like a giant kind of reaper looking thing, right?
Yeah, and he
Yeah,
sits
it's
up in
got
the
the hood.
background, and you just have to avoid his laser beams.
Yeah, it's God, that one's so cool too. Like they're just gorgeous to look at too. Like I'll like get distracted by like how cool they look. It's like, oh wait, I actually got to fight this
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And then the
Um,
scale of it too is like you're this little guy on the screen and you're basically fighting a boss in like kind of jumping around and working within a boss that takes up the whole screen.
yeah. Something you couldn't do on the Nintendo, but this game really is modeled after Ninja Gaiden. Like I
Well,
think they
yeah.
created it as an homage to it.
Yeah, I mean, there were bosses on the Nintendo that took up most of the screen, but they were generally fucking horrible because it was just like
Well,
wasted
normally
all of
those
your screen
bosses
real
were
estate.
yeah, they were just backgrounds with moving limbs so that they could reduce the amount of stress on the Nintendo. This thing moves all over the place.
Yeah, and it's like it's instead of it being a boss, it's like a kind of an environment that well, it is a boss, but instead of it being like a single sprite that you're fighting that's similar in size to you, it's like an environment that you have to like work your way through in
Yeah.
order to get your attacks off. It's really cool.
Yeah, and speaking of environments, your favorite one, the cloud level, has evil Manfred, who, after you beat him, becomes your friend. Just regular Manfred.
I didn't mind the cloud level, just that one fucking part. And then like it turns out that I get through it and I didn't even need to like I was like for sure there's gonna be um music note down here because it's like really tough to get through here. And it ended up being one of those green coins and I had already gotten it. So I was a little irritated. But
Yeah.
yeah, Manfred is fun. Like you have to those scenes where he's chasing you are pretty tough at first. And then, fighting him, uh, I think I've heard folks say that is a really challenging one for them, but I don't find it to
I
be too
didn't.
bad.
No, I didn't find it that hard actually. I beat him on my first try, which is kind of rare for all of these. I don't think any other one I beat on my first try.
Yeah, I did too. I was like, oh, that was it. I mean, that was cool. Like I felt like a badass because it was like I know that's probably really tough, but anytime that there is like a platform under you that like starts to disappear
Disappear. Yeah,
or get eaten away or whatever, um,
that's
yeah, I
another trope I
that's tough.
don't like in video games.
Yeah,
Disappearing platforms.
yeah, and you have to kind of manage wherever you're standing to make sure that you don't have like a Swiss cheese platform to work with, and just have like, I try to make sure that they're always carving out, a consistent section of it and not just like holes all over the place.
Yeah. But yeah, after you beat him, anyways, yeah, he becomes your friend after you beat him. But the one guy you've been talking about since the beginning, the demon that chases you down, the one that I spoiled,
He's a
is
dick.
called Barma Thazel.
Yes.
Barma apostrophe Thaze with those two dots on top of it. L. So I have no idea how to
Umlaut.
pronounce that.
It's like Barmathazel.
Uh,
I don't know. He's a demon.
yeah, they
Yeah,
don't have a phonetic spelling thing on his wiki page. So
he's a little shit.
yeah, he is. He is. His battle, one of my favorites, oddly enough, but definitely the hardest I had in the game. And it's
Yeah,
because the cloud step is instrumental because there's a point where the entire ground is fire and you have to use the cloud step on these I think it's skulls that pop out of the wall, and you have to
yeah, they're like
hit
little
it with the sword and
devils.
keep jumping, and then you have to hit him while you're doing that. It was, oh my god.
And if you fall, like it's one of those things where if you just kind of like get behind for like a second, you're just like in the fire and it's really hard to get yourself out of it.
Yeah, and
Um
once you do, you're down by more than half your health, and you don't get a lot of health in this game to begin with.
yeah, he definitely contributed quite a bit to my game over. Because in New Game Plus, the little red Corbel guy that follows you around, it takes
Oh, let's talk about the Corbeau. We have a
yeah,
good segue going on here.
yeah, that little fucker. Let's talk about him.
Yeah, because there's a couple of Corbels. So, when you die, you this little red demon follows behind you called Corbel, and his entire well, his race is called the Quills, but his entire reason is to take time shards from you as payment for reviving you until the payment is satisfied. Then he disappears. During that time, you don't collect any time shards, which are used to upgrade your character. So it's kind of a consequence of dying as you upgrade slower. So
Right. So I forgot about that. That like he takes them and eats them as you're collecting them in the main game. In New Game Plus, he just straight up takes 50 and then fucks off.
well, yeah, that's just a life system. You
Right.
know,
But it's like it doesn't allow you to um like kind of go back and take your time to get you know, basically you can die as many times as you want in front of a boss and he'll just kind of be there.
yeah,
In this
and
one, he will just take 50 every time. So if you have, 200 left and you're going up against a boss, like you better beat that boss within the next 3 tries or you're done.
no, and
So
that
that
I
was
kind of prefer the method of where he just takes the time shards from you as you upgrade. I get the new game
yeah.
plus just to make it a little more challenging, but no,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the newer system where instead of just giving you a bunch of lives, they give you quick restarts. Like Celeste being one of my favorite games that does that, where you climb the level and you fuck up, you just restart almost instantaneously. This game is not as quick, but it's still pretty fast, so it motivates you to try again.
Yeah, I like that. Not complaining really about the game over anymore. Like I was like, "Oh fuck." It kind of was on me. I was like, "Well, I should
Yeah,
have
you
gone
couldn't
back."
afford them.
Well, right. But I got through the first half of the game and basically if you keep dying and he's taking your time shards, you just have to kind of you can flip back and forth between a couple of the sections of the map and just kind of run through and basically mine for time shards. And it's not
Yeah,
really that big of a deal.
No, it's not. Um, Anything else about Corbel before we just jump into the levels here? Just go over them really quick.
Yeah, I don't always need to know how many times I've died, Corbel, you little fucker. He's like, oh, that's, I don't know, it's like 150 times I've saved you. It's like, go eat a dick.
The purist out there is like after he dies once, you're like, you motherfucker. Actually, that's the thing. If you don't die in this game, you never meet Corbel because he doesn't show up until the first time you die.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, I never
So
thought of that.
there is if you make it because there's another Corbel or Quill and I can't remember their name, but you run into them a little bit later. If you haven't died by that point and you've never met Corbel, the dialogue changes.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
that's awesome. So like basically you'd have to go through what's the what's that level? It's I guess it's pretty no, it's not that early because it's Quillshroom Marsh because that's where the other little Corbel is because you're fighting basically like a corrupted messenger, right? The Queen
yeah,
of Quills, yeah. And so when you kill her, she has a Corbel that saves her, and then the Corbels like talk to each other. It's kind of funny.
yeah. Um, did you know some of the levels in this game appear in Sea of Stars?
No, because I haven't gotten that far into Sea of Stars, but I did
Well,
notice some really cool shit when I was playing that I had played enough of Sea of Stars to catch.
well, you're gonna kind of notice when you play Sea of Stars that the music sounds familiar, and that's because you're in the same areas, give or take.
Oh, that's
As
awesome.
as the messenger. And right off top of my head, Autumn Hills, Quilshoe Marsh, and Glacial Peak, I think, are the three that that appear in Sea of Stars. And there's probably more, but I really haven't looked that much into it yet.
Nice. Yeah, that like I noticed and I kind of like had a little freak out about it myself. When you're
Little
in
fanboy.
little
Yeah.
little mooning, fanboy mooning here. Like okay, so you're in like the Metroidvania part of like the second half of the game, and you're in I don't even know what it's called, but it's kind of like a deep water shrine or something like that, and you have to like
Sunken
sunken
Shrine.
shrine. That's the one, and you have to find the um sun and the moon like amulets or whatever to open this door, and it's like, oh, that is exactly the same symbols um from Sea of Stars, and just like the
Yeah.
some of the rooms like are just kind of big and empty and just kind of decorated with stuff. Like there's one where there's just like a giant time crystal in it that you can just beat the hell out of and get a bunch of time shards, and that room is really cool because you can tell that you're underwater and there's like fish swimming in the background out the window, and the sun and the moon are in there. That's such a cool, that's probably my favorite
I think
section of the
that
game.
that room with the you're talking about, I think that also crosses over into Sea of Stars.
Yeah, that was my first thought when you said that, was like, oh, definitely that deep water shrine, or like whatever you called it. That shrine is
Sunken Shrine.
probably in there.
Yeah.
Sunken shrine. It's probably not shrunken at the time, right? Because Sea of
Sunken.
Stars takes
Sunken.
place sunken. That's what I said.
Oh, you said shrunken.
Shrunken. Yeah, well, it's shrunken too. It's tiny. Uh,
Okay.
um, but that
I
probably is in Sea of Stars because doesn't Sea of Stars occur before the Messenger?
Yeah, that was the thing. It's supposed to be a prequel to the Messenger, which is kind of an interesting thing because those heroes don't come in from the West.
No, but I think they actually talk to you at some point like, "Oh, you are the one we've chosen. We've been watching over you." And I think it's the two characters from Sea of Stars. And I think that was really cool.
Possibly. I don't know if Sea of Stars was envisioned by this point, but it is interesting they did kind of make a crossover of the two games.
I guess it wouldn't be that much of a stretch. It doesn't make it like explicitly those characters, but basically you had collected a sun and moon that they, you know, use in their in their
Yeah,
magics or whatever, and then they're like,
or
we have
maybe
been watching you. Yeah.
maybe they had an idea or something like that, and
Yeah, something. Yeah, they
uh,
could have retro retconned it or whatever into it, but
yeah.
yeah,
But
it looks,
let's
and they used all the imagery and it looks cool. That's all.
yeah, let's get into the levels here of the Messenger, not Sea of Stars. We'll get into that one in the future. Um, let's start with the Ninja Village. Very simple. It is the beginning of the game. You start at the very western point of, let's call it the overall map. Everything to the west of you is water. Everything to the east of you is mountain. So you just travel east and the story starts. You run into the demon, climb the mountain. Nothing special about it.
Yep.
Autumn Hills, first actual level you go to. It's just kind of a forest level, base of the mountain. Music is fucking redonkulous.
Oh god, that's the best track in the game, and they just
Oh yeah.
it just kind of like going back to that 5x5 we did about music. Like, if you're a video game developer, are you not putting your best music forward,
Oh,
like basically
we're
right
going to get
away?
into the music in a minute, and that's where I'm going to actually hog the mic for a little bit. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So Autumn Hills, great music. Next, you go into Forlorn Temple, and that's where you fight your first boss. No, you fight your first boss in Autumn Hills. That's the leaf monster, right? Every level has
Yeah.
a boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Forlorn Temple, nothing overly special about it, but when you get to
No,
the end of it,
because no, Forlorn Temple, you get in there after Autumn Hills and you basically fall.
yeah, because you go right into the catacombs. Because Forlorn
Right.
Temple, I think you actually climb back up to later.
Yeah, much later. Like towards the end of the game, you have to like find all those little like Phoebekins or Phobekins or whatever, those little like
Yeah,
construction dudes. You have to find 4 of them so they can build you a bridge.
that's right. So you enter Forlorn Temples, fall immediately down to the catacombs. It's just the underground level. You end up in Bamboo Creek, which is how would I describe Bamboo Creek?
It's a swamp.
Okay, no, that nails it. It is a swamp. So with
Yeah, I think
bamboo,
it's the swampy one. Yeah. No,
then
maybe
you
that's not swampy. I don't know. Whatever. It's bamboo.
well, it's just a bamboo level, very
Yeah.
ninja-y. Then you go to
Yeah.
the Howling Grotto. That one's just again, it's more of an underground level. You get the wingsuit by this point, and it's a lot of floating areas.
Yeah, I like
Uh,
those sections where you shoot up the wind gust like vertical, and then you can descend at different diagonals like in a figure 8 pattern and collect all your like items and your little time shards and stuff. Those are
yeah,
fun.
yeah, that's I actually really liked using the wingsuit there and the basically falling down the little mazes there with the spikes. And the other thing I like about this game is spikes don't instantly kill you. It just knocks some health off. You get the little bit of vulnerability blinking for a bit, and then you carry on. Thank you
Yeah,
for
it's not
doing
like
that.
not like touch a spike and die. Mega
Yeah,
Man
yeah,
looking at you.
fuck Mega Man, weak.
Yeah.
Anyways, Quillshroom Marsh is where you're going next. Quillshroom Marsh. I'm gonna throw it back to Sea of Stars here. When you're in Quillshroom Marsh, there's these mushrooms that are they have mouths on them, like faces. And as the music goes, they start singing with the music there. I always love that, and
Oh,
it
that's
made this.
cool.
Yeah, I made this one of my favorite levels. So when they go back here, Quillshroom Marsh is the same. Yeah, nothing special about this level. Nothing really to write home about. Searing Crag, which is next, is just basically the fire part of the level. Like obviously, everything has kind of a theme. So this would be the fire part. So a lot of fire to hurt you.
Yeah, I
Uh,
like Searing Crag. That's a fun one. And that's where you get the boss where it's like Kolos and Seuses or whatever. Those like
yeah, the
yeah
the
those
Cyclops.
yeah the Cyclops brothers. That's a
Yeah,
fun boss battle.
and also they're like just working out dudes throwing boulders at you.
Yeah, well, one's got leg strength and the other's got like the upper body.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one's
like
got the Captain and or the Brian Beer Belly.
yeah.
Next, you go to the Glacial Peak, which is the snow level. A lot of slippery surfaces. Fuck ice levels in every game. This is probably the
This
level that gave me the most difficulty.
yeah, this is a tough one. But I will say I think I don't know what it is about it, but the slipping ice didn't you don't slip on everything. You
No,
specifically slip on the surfaces that are ice. And unfortunately a lot of those are moving platforms that you have to worry
yeah,
about. But
it
there
just
was
encourages you to jump fast.
yeah, and if you float down or there's like a specific way that you can kind of finagle it so that you land just like straight down on the ice and then you don't slip as much. And it didn't seem like he would really slip off the edge. You would slip to the edge, but not all the way off sometimes. So it was a little more forgiving than like, I don't know, like a Mario
Like a
or Mega
Mario game,
Man.
yeah.
Yeah, or the Mega Man ice levels where you're just sliding on everything.
Oh god, fuck ice levels. So
Yeah.
after you fuck this ice level, you go to the Tower of Time, which is a tower of time. It's a tower level. You just climb upwards most of the way, but it's more futuristic where you have to open like laser doors and avoid laser
Yeah.
beams, and then teleport through walls using electricity, I guess.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
like a crystal with like a wire between, and you hit them, and then he just kind of like turns into
yeah,
energy and goes through them. But like the this is where the game really turns on the puzzle platforming elements in a fun way. There's like each screen is challenging in its own way, and you have to use timing and like positioning to get yourself through these screens, or else you're going to get cut by these lasers. But it's a lot of making sure you're either under or over a platform so the laser isn't going through it, or um, using these like little transport beams to pop into a different part of the screen and hit the next one before you fall and hit spikes or something like that. It's pretty cool. It's a challenge. It's like
yeah, absolutely a challenge. Not as challenging as Cloud Ruins, but it was a challenge.
yeah, Cloud
Cloud Ruins
Ruins.
being the next level, that's where evil Manfred chases you, and it's trial and error. That's the only thing I can say about Cloud Ruins is as you're being chased, you're jumping, avoiding things, jumping over obstacles. You fuck up, you just learn the pattern, then you repeat it, and then it's actually not as hard as it sounds. It's just repetitive.
Yeah, it's all happening so fast, and it's easy to get stressed out when there's three different sections where this like giant red dragon is chasing you, and it's no matter how fast you're platforming or moving or whatever, it's catching up to you. Like it's only a matter of time. So they designed these portions of the levels so that you basically have just enough time to get across without it catching you if you do it perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. And then the game kind of comes to a head at the underworld, the last, I guess, level of the, for lack of a better term, the main story. So that's where you fight the Bethathamanaha, or
Yeah,
I'd
that
have to look up his name again because I already forgot how to pronounce it.
yeah, that dickhead.
Yeah, so after you,
Bartholomew.
yeah, well, that's his name, Bartholomew.
Yeah,
But
sure.
after you beat him in the underworld, the game kind of opens up. There's other levels I don't want to get into, just in case you do want to play this game. I think we spoiled enough already.
Oh,
Uh,
there's my favorite parts are in the second half of the game.
Yeah. So after you go back, you kind of get the reveal of what the big secret is and all that kind of stuff, and you open up the world. And this is where, like Sam said, it becomes more like a Metroidvania because now you can kind of return to some of the areas you went to through the 8-bit and the 16-bit world, or I guess time periods, and find the collectible items, the music notes, the coins, the power coins. What else can you find? There's another collectible.
Um,
Pretty sure there
would
was.
you would you say music notes, power coins,
Yeah,
those little Phoebkin things you need
Thiebkins.
to complete?
That's right.
Well, there's a bunch of different items that you need to give to other characters around the map at different periods of time that allow you to like this isn't giving anything away, but there's like a point where you're 500 years in the future and there's a thistle growing, and then you have to go back in time and give someone the thistle, like that sort of thing. You have to, yeah, there's just there's items around that you pick up and go in your inventory and allow you to access different parts of the game.
Yeah,
It's tough. There's a lot of trial and error because you can visit a lot of the same spots as either the past or the future, and that will influence who's there or what items are present.
yeah.
And
Like
you have to
if you say have to grab a flower, but all you have is a seed. You plant the seed, go to the future, grab the flower.
right, that sort of thing, and it's really
Yeah,
cool. Like, yeah, I really enjoy games with that sort of time travel. Like right now, obviously playing Chrono Trigger. There's a lot of time jumping around in that game. It's in the name, and then also like Ocarina of Time. Love that shit. Like any time that there's time travel, I'm down for it.
Yeah, time travel is a fun mechanic because it really is. If it's done well, it turns out great, and if it's done like mediocre, it still tends to be a pretty good story.
Yeah, it's like, and it's like you're almost getting two games at once if it's like a dual time mechanic. Like this is like basically, you know, the level and then more of the
Well,
level. Like
yeah,
the levels are laid over each other and there's different paths through it depending on
yeah,
which time you're in.
exactly, and that's one of the things I really liked is like through the game you'd notice all these like way forward through the 8-bit version of the game. And you're like, motherfucker, I want to go there, but I don't want to look up a walkthrough. So you just kind of skip it. Then you realize later on that you can now go access those areas because in the 16-bit world, that area is now opened up. And it just really, really made the game just way more fun to explore because it's all new.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you'd see something, you'd come up on a screen that has like basically a path to go down and a couple of barriers in front of it. And they do a pretty good job of calling out. I think it's like three thin little like barriers that block off a wall. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, so I just need to flip the time to the other whatever. If I'm in the past or the future, I just have to flip it to the other one and
Yeah.
that will
And
open up.
it's almost a puzzle, too, how to get back there without running through one of the time barriers.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's some placement of some of the time barriers that you have to kind of like jump around and come at it from a certain direction, or else you won't be able to be in the right time at the right place.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have anything else to say about the game? Because we're going to jump into the music before we wrap up here.
Yeah, no, let's talk about the music.
Let's talk about the music. Oh my god, have you ever heard of Rainbow Dragon Eyes? Yes, you have.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have after I I
yeah,
certainly have after I played this game.
yeah. It is an alias during this game used by the phenomenal composer Eric W. Brown, who is also the drummer of the band Necrogoblicon. Check
Yeah,
them out
what
on
a
Spotify.
fucking cool name.
And it's not just a cool name. The lead singer dresses up as a goblin.
Perfect.
Yes, it just nailed it. But he did the music for this game and Sea of Stars. He used what's called Family Tracker to create a NES-like aesthetic to the 8-bit tracks, and then a program called Deflamask, which is kind of the same thing, but it's more for the modern chip tunes to do the 16-bit soundtracks. There's 3 soundtracks to the game. There's the past, the future, and Picnic Panic, which is the DLC soundtrack. And we didn't really get into Picnic Panic because I don't know, we're running about an hour now, so we kind of have to wrap things up.
Maybe we should come back and talk about do like a short
Well,
episode about Picnic Panic because it's really fucking fun.
a quick play about Picnic Panic.
Yeah, maybe a quick play. Although it has not been a quick play, I'm quite stuck. It's very challenging. It's hard, man.
There you go. It's all yours. I don't know if I'll ever play it.
Okay,
But
well, you should.
going on with the music again. The take on the, like I said, the tracks are overlaid so that you can switch between 8-bit and 16-bit seamlessly, but you get right immersed into the game in the era that you're in just based on the music in the background because you get that extra layer of sound in the 16-bit era, like 16-bit world, than you do in the 8-bit world, and it's it blows my mind how well this worked because he had to make the same track in 2 different programs that fit perfectly over top of each other with seamless transition to one to the other.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's just how seamlessly the visuals overlay on top of each other. The music is just the same, and they all
Yeah,
fit together so perfectly.
yeah, because it's just a screen wipe, and you change from 8 to 16 or back, and everything changes with it in I think about 1 to 1.5 seconds, and then it just you barely even notice it, and then all of a sudden the music is better. The character design is better, the level looks better, or it looks worse if you're going back to the 8-bit level. So it's
I wouldn't I wouldn't even say worse. It's just like you can
well, I'm
just
not.
tell that it's like a different graphical
Yeah,
style. Like,
sorry, worse was not the word I
yeah,
was looking for. 8-bit. It is very obviously 8-bit because even the character design of the 8-bit messenger looks very Ninja Gaiden-y,
yeah.
where the
I mean,
16-bit one looks like somebody got to put their take on the Ninja Gaiden.
yeah. It's like not 8-bit as in like I'm sure if we say 8-bit, some people will think like, well, it probably looks like, the original Super Mario Brothers or
Yeah,
something. Like this looks like a very good well,
it's
obviously
eight.
too good, but
Yeah,
it's like a late NES game. Think of
it's
like
8-bit if you have the memory to actually put a game on maybe 10 Nintendo cartridges.
right, yeah. But like as far as like how good it looks, like we talked about we've got an episode in the can on that. What was that? Shadow Warrior, like
Oh,
Ninja
Shadow
Shadow
of the
or whatever.
Ninja.
Shadow of the Ninja. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of looks like that, but better. Like a little bit better,
Yeah.
but still pretty good.
And it's obviously there's more detail in the backgrounds and stuff like you couldn't add to the NES cartridge to save space. They can use here, so it is more detailed. So it
Oh, but then when you flip to 16-bit, it's like way more detailed,
oh
and
yeah,
it
way
looks
way more detailed. It's like I said, the sprites are just completely upgraded. There's a lot more pixel per sprite. It just looks like you went from a Nintendo to a Super Nintendo.
yeah. I have to say it was such a treat to go back to once you get to the second half of the game and you're bopping around all the areas that you went through as the 8-bit ninja in the past, and like to go and see them again as future ninja was really cool.
Yeah. Oh no, 100%. Uh, all right. Shall we wrap this up with our final thoughts on the game and then give it a score? And obviously, you know where it's going to sit on the tier list.
Yeah. Yeah, final thoughts, I guess. Just go play this if you haven't played it yet. It's so
Yeah.
good. You're doing yourself a disservice if you haven't played it yet. Go play it.
No. Yeah. This game has a great story. Starts off very simple, very to the point, but as you progress through the mountain and you get to the top, the story really opens up, and there's an aha moment that just
Yeah.
absolutely like brings everything together. After you finish that story, there's still more game, and there's a lot more game. So it's like bang for your buck. The music is top tier. Uh, the gameplay mechanics are fun but difficult and challenging, but also rewarding when you do something. And especially if you're like me, where you're a button masher, and all of a
Yeah,
sudden you do
I am
something
too.
cool.
Yeah.
Uh, there is a speed running. I looked up some speed runners there, and quite honestly, there is nothing in the speed running of this game that made me go, I couldn't do that if I just, played the game enough. So, if you like speed running, then you can go check those out. Somebody beat the game, I think, in 28 minutes.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up again, but I think that was the quickest one I saw. Or maybe it was
And
2 hours and 28 minutes.
yeah, I mean, that's incredible because the game is so well designed and so tight that like there's not a lot of exploits. You're kind of just
Yeah,
kind of going through it. Like you just that two
it's
hours
how
and
you
28 minutes
your
is just plowing through it.
it's how you use your items and your health. It seems like you take a hit here on the spikes in order to move forward faster.
Uh
You know,
huh. Yeah,
and
that sort of
that's the
thing
kind of
is
the
cool.
stuff. Or use your ninja stars to hit a switch to move you around faster. But
Oh, nice. Yeah.
yeah, for the negatives for this game, there's not a lot about it. I mean, we talked about it. The you die, you restart right away mechanic is just it has to be standard nowadays. Like I can't
Yeah.
see games going back to a life system unless you're really trying to get that arcadey retro feeling. But this is the style of game I think will become the standard moving forward. Anything left, Sam?
Yeah, I agree with what you said. It's just more fun to be able to take another crack at something that's giving you, kind of a headache or something. Like if there's you got a spot that's giving you some trouble, yeah, like why not be able to just start at that spot and just try to master it. Whereas, in older games, and this is more of a limitation of the time period and the hardware and the software that was available, but like, you don't need to have to play an hour and a half just to take another crack at something that,
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah.
was
That's
tough.
kind of a. It's almost a game killer for me now. Is if you die and you go too far back. Like I'm playing Far Cry 3 on the side right now, and that one even has the if you die, it reloads the screen, and you made progress in the game, and it just puts you a little bit back. So it's not like you end up going back to the last save. So it's like I said, this has to be the way of the future or the way of the present, I guess. So we'll see how it
Right.
goes.
Yeah.
So what's your excuse me here? I do
Uh-oh. You
say.
okay over there?
Yeah, I'm just I'm choking on my own rage.
Choking on
But
your own rage.
what's your score on this game?
I'm giving this a 10. It's
Yeah.
there is nothing wrong with it. It is
No.
100% fun.
Yeah,
I was
100%.
the first time I played it, and then this most recent playthrough, and I even game over it and had to restart it again. So I played it an extra 1.5 times within the last week or so. And we'll probably hang up this recording, and I'll go try that DLC again. But it's just I get hooked on it. Like I can't put it
Yeah.
down. While you're
No,
playing it, you can't put it down.
the nice thing is you can just pick this game up and play. Like I have the one the save file I haven't completely finished yet, and every so often I'll just be bored and I'll pick up this game and I'll play about an hour or two of it, and it's muscle memory. This game is outstanding. 10/10 from me as well. Obviously on the S tier of our tier list, sitting with
Oh,
the
for
likes
sure.
of Pokemon, Gen 1, Super Mario RPG, and I can't remember the other one.
South Park.
Oh, South Park Stick of Truth.
Yeah.
That is right. Jesus. I
Yeah,
normally open
that
up the window and ahead of time, but I forgot to.
Stick of Truth is another game that I couldn't put down. Like both times I played it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Oh,
That's
it's
the
great.
mark of a true game that belongs in the S tier. Like I guess I could put down Pokemon, but Pokemon is different. It's not like addictive in the sense that
Oh
you
my
need to
God, the
play it
way
at all
you guys
times.
talk about it in the Discord, you think it was addictive. Like,
Yeah.
do you want crack or Pokemon? Well, I'll take Pokemon, man. I haven't
I'll
played
take Pokemon
Pokemon in
any day.
like a week.
Well, no, what I'm saying is like there are times where Pokemon gets grindy, and that's where it's like, well, yeah, you throw on some music or you watch some TV and you play some Pokemon, and then you get through the parts that are, story elements and gyms and shit like that. This is like just pure, it's engaging all the way through. Once you put it down and you go do something else, it's like, oh, I should go mow the lawn. And it's like, but I'll just play the messenger for a little bit more before I do that.
Yeah, pretty
like,
much. Yeah.
like that kind of thing. Just
Yeah.
completely distracts you from whatever you want to do. You just want to be playing it while it's going.
I want to be playing it right now. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up here because I
Yeah,
think I'm going to go do a run.
let's wrap it up and go play the messenger.
All right. Obviously, we got a new format going on, so the outro is going to be a little bit different. We don't know what's coming up next week because these are going to be kind of recorded, then put into order as we see fit. So
Yep.
until next time, Sam, send us away.
Yep. Have a great week and play your games. Play the messenger.
I know I'm going to.